Hi. This is a case of dislocated crystalline lens. After we have completed vitrectomy and removed the dropped lens, we decided to place a scleral fixated lens using the YAMANE technique. The part showing insertion of the lens in this video was unedited. Just to share that YAMANE technique can be done quite easily. In an ideal situation, it can be done less than 10 minutes. Let's see how the insertion was performed. We start with marking 180 degree horizontally, followed by marking 2.5 to 3 mm behind the limbus, and finally mark 2 mm above and below the horizontal meridian to guide us during the tunneling of the needle. As you can see, the turgor of the eyeball is quite good as we have the posterior infusion on. For anterior segment surgeon, we can use the anterior chamber maintainer or lots of viscoelastic to fill up the chamber. Keeping a good eye turgor throughout the whole surgery is the key success for YAMANE technique. Insert the needle to create a scleral tunnel. You can either use the 27 gauge standard needle or a thin wall 30 gauge needle. Another important point is to not create the corneal wound too posterior to avoid iris prolapse during the procedure. Wound size ideally has to be 3.2 mm and best to avoid docking technique, as good visualization is very important. As you can see here, I'm struggling to insert the tip of the cartridge through the wound. After enlarging the wound adequately, subsequent step is a breeze. Injection of the intraocular lens was done. In this case, we used the single injector lens. Direct threading of the haptic was done. During this step, it is important to inject the lens slowly and keep your eyes on the leading haptic. Inject according to the movement of the haptic through the needle. Once haptic is tucked in nicely in the needle, at least 2/3 of the length, our focus shift to the opening of the optic and avoid rotation of the haptic inside the eye. Finally, keep the trailing haptic outside the eye at the end of the injection. Slowly externalize the haptic, following the direction of insertion as well as the curve of the haptic. Be prepared with a Kalman forceps to grasp the externalized haptic and avoid it to retract back into the eye. This is followed by cauterization of the haptic. Now, we insert the second needle. I am using the cross-hand technique for trailing haptic. For trailing haptic manipulation, we use the left hand to stabilize the needle in position and manipulate the trailing haptic using the right hand. Use a max grip forceps to feed the trailing haptic. Again, externalize it following the shape of the haptic and cauterize it. Vary both haptics in the scleral bed. Thank you.